The Auctioneer's Gambit, a human's fate in a ruthless galactic market. The grand auction hall of Kharis Prime shimmered under the glow of floating luminescent orbs, their eerie light casting elongated shadows against the towering pillars. The air was thick with anticipation, murmurs of eager bidders interwoven with the occasional clink of crystalline goblets. Tonight the galaxy's wealthiest elites gathered not for art or relics, but for something far more illicit: sentient beings. At the center of it all stood the Auctioneer, an enigma draped in elegant robes of obsidian silk, their face obscured by a golden mask that reflected the greed of those who dared look upon it. A figure of power and deception, they wielded words as weapons, turning desperation into spectacle, misery into currency. One by one, captives were led onto the polished stage, their chains glinting under the artificial light. The elite creatures of the cosmos eyed them like exotic wares, numbers flashing in the air as bidding wars erupted. But tonight's auction held a prize unlike any before: a human. She was defiant despite her tattered state, ember eyes burning with something stronger than fear. The murmurs in the room sharpened into an electrified hum. Humans were rare in these parts. Their resilience, their ingenuity, their fire, highly sought after by those who understood their true value. The Auctioneer raised a gloved hand. "We begin the bidding at 100,000 credits. A pale-skinned Vol noble raised a clawed hand. 150. 200, came another voice, richer, more eager. The numbers climbed, faster, wilder, until a voice from the shadows cut through the frenzy. 1,000,000 credits. Silence fell like a guillotine. All eyes turned to the bidder, an imposing figure in a deep crimson cloak, standing at the edge of the room. The Auctioneer's lips curled behind their mask. 1,000,000 credits, they echoed. Going once, going twice. So, the gavel struck, sealing the fate of the human. The cloaked figure strode forward, claiming their prize with a firm grasp. But as they stepped into the light, the gasps were not for the human, but for the face revealed beneath the hood: the galaxy's most infamous bounty hunter. The human looked up, a flicker of recognition crossing her face before her lips twisted into a knowing smirk. The Auctioneer's heartbeat quickened. This was no ordinary transaction, no ordinary captive. And the real game had only just begun. The bounty hunter, known across the stars as Kael Varro, tightened his grip on the human's arm, guiding her toward the exit. The elites of the hall murmured, whispers of intrigue trailing in their wake. The Auctioneer watched with keen interest, fingers curling over the edge of the podium. As soon as the pair reached the private docking bays, the human wrenched her arm free. "I assume you have a plan beyond just throwing credits around?" she asked, voice laced with wry amusement. Varro turned, his ice-gray eyes studying her. "I do. But first, tell me your name." She hesitated for a fraction of a second before replying. "Lena." "Well, Lena," he said, punching a code into his ship's ramp. "Welcome aboard. Try not to get in my way." She scoffed. "You just spent 1,000,000 credits on me. If anything, you're in my way." Varro didn't respond. The ship's doors hissed open, and Lena stepped inside, eyeing the sleek, battle-worn interior. Weapons lined the walls, and the hum of a modified engine vibrated beneath her boots. This was no ordinary vessel. "Who were you really buying me for?" she asked, crossing her arms. Varro let out a slow breath. "No one." Lena narrowed her eyes. "You're lying." "Let's just say I have my own reasons," Varro said, settling into the pilot's seat. "And those reasons might just keep you alive." Lena leaned against the co-pilot's chair, studying him. "You know, bounty hunters don't usually buy their bounties, they collect them. So what's your angle?" Varro glanced at her, a ghost of a smirk tugging at his lips. "Let's just say you're worth more to me alive and free than locked in a cell." She wasn't sure whether that was comforting or concerning. As the ship lifted off, the auctioneer watched from the shadows of the docking bay, a silent smile forming beneath their mask. The night was far from over, and neither was their interest in the bounty hunter and his new purchase. Hours later, Lena stood in the dimly lit cockpit, staring out at the stars streaking past. The silence between her and Varro had stretched long, but not uncomfortable. She could tell he wasn't used to company. Finally, she broke the quiet. "So, are you going to tell me where we're going?" Varro exhaled sharply. "Out of reach." "Whose reach?" "The auctioneers, and everyone else who saw you on that stage." Lena frowned. "I don't get it. If you were going to help me escape, why not just break me out?" Varro's jaw tightened. "Because that would have put a target on both our backs." She huffed. "Newsflash, Varro. I'm already a target." "Yeah," he muttered. "But now, you're my target." Lena blinked, studying him. "And what exactly does that mean?" "It means," Varro said, his gaze flicking to hers, "that if anyone comes looking for you, they'll have to go through me first." A slow smile spread across Lena's lips. "Now, that's the first reassuring thing you've said all night." But elsewhere, in the dark reaches of the cosmos, the auctioneer was already making their move. A shadowy transmission flickered to life, their masked visage appearing before a group of unseen figures. "The bounty hunter has taken the human," they said smoothly. "I trust you all understand what must be done." A deep voice rumbled through the comms. "And the price?" The auctioneer tilted their head. "No price. Only a message." They leaned forward, golden mask glinting in the dim light. "Bring me the bounty hunter. And bring me the girl." The hunt had begun. The comms transmission ended, and in a distant sector of the galaxy, a fleet of darkened ships ignited their thrusters. These were not ordinary hunters. They were enforcers of the auctioneer's will. Merciless, relentless, and bound by no law but profit. On board Varro's ship, Lena paced, her instincts telling her that danger was already closing in. "Something's not right," she muttered. Varro shot her a look. "You feel it too?" Before she could answer, a warning alarm blared across the console. Varro's hands moved swiftly, pulling up a scanner. 3 ships had appeared on their radar, closing fast. "They found us," he said grimly. Lena's jaw clenched. "Then let's see if you're worth that 1,000,000 credits you spent." Varro smirked and activated the weapons system. "Strap in, Lena. Things are about to get interesting." As the alarm echoed through the ship, Lena and Varro braced themselves for the impending confrontation. Varro's fingers danced over the controls, activating the ship's defensive systems and plotting an evasive course. "We need to outmaneuver them," Varro said, his voice steady despite the tension. "Our ship is faster, but they have the numbers." Lena nodded, her mind racing. "We can't outrun them forever. We need a plan." Varro glanced at her, a hint of a smile on his lips. "I have an idea, but it's risky." "Riskier than being caught by the auctioneer's enforcers?" Lena retorted. Varro chuckled. "Fair point. There's an asteroid field nearby. If we can lure them in, we might be able to lose them in the chaos." Lena's eyes widened, but she nodded in agreement. "It's worth a shot. Let's do it." The ship veered sharply, heading straight for the asteroid field. The pursuing ships followed, their weapons firing intermittently, trying to anticipate Varro's erratic maneuvers. As they entered the asteroid field, Varro's skill as a pilot became evident. He weaved the ship through the floating rocks with precision, using the asteroids as cover. Lena monitored the scanners, calling out the positions of their pursuers. One of the enemy ships misjudged a turn and collided with a massive asteroid, exploding in a brilliant flash of light. The remaining 2 ships hesitated, giving Varro and Lena the opening they needed. Varro activated the ship's cloaking device, and they disappeared from the enemy's scanners. They held their breath as the remaining ship searched fruitlessly, eventually retreating to regroup. With the immediate threat neutralized, Varro set a course for a safe haven. Lena let out a sigh of relief, looking at Varro with newfound respect. "See, this is why you're worth every credit," he said, a small smile playing on his lips. As Varro and Lena navigated the stars, the adrenaline of their escape slowly subsided, replaced by a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. Lena glanced at Varro, his expression thoughtful. "I still don't get why you paid 1,000,000 credits for me," Lena insisted. "Surely you can get a human co-pilot for 1/4 of my price." "There's something you should know," he began, his voice softer than usual. "The 1,000,000 credits I spent, it wasn't just for any bounty. It was for you, Lena." Lena looked at him, surprise etched on her face. "What do you mean?" Varro took a deep breath. You're not just any target. You're the hidden queen of Eclipsera, a planet forever locked in an eclipse with eternal twilight skies. Your father, the king, is dying, and his last wish is to see you return safely." Lena's eyes widened in shock. Memories of her past, long suppressed, flooded back. She remembered the palace, the love of her people, and the weight of her royal duties. "I never thought I'd hear those words again," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Varro nodded. "My job as a bounty hunter was to find you and bring you home. But now, it's more than that. I want to help you remain on the throne and fulfill your father's wish. As he was good man, and he spared my life, so I promised him I would find you and return you home before he dies." Lena looked at Varro with gratitude and determination. "Thank you, Varro. Let's go home." Together, they set a course for Eclipsera, ready to face the challenges that awaited them. Their journey was far from over, but with each other's support, they knew they could overcome anything. The galaxy might be vast and full of dangers, but their bond was unbreakable, forged in the fires of their shared adventures.